That's on me. It's a hard lesson learned. This personal message was then shown at a partisan public gathering. This should not have happened.
Well, this whistleblower has let out a lot of revelations. He said the previous witness was basically lying from the government, misleading at least. And here's a little bit from MP Barrett, and then we got MP Perkins. Just check this out.
We are willing to provide all the information under the condition that it's also publicly released.
These are not isolated incidents with respect to those COVID payments. Is that correct?
That's correct. When we're talking about the COVID payments, what we need to talk about is that there were 2 payments that were made. And the findings of the RCGG report don't just say that the conflict of interest rules were broken. What they've also found is that all of the $40 million that was given out was not even effectively tracked.
So you just heard testimony from ISED officials, the deputy minister. To your knowledge, in their opening statement or in response to questions from members of this committee, did they mislead or fail to provide fulsome answers?
They did.
Can you provide the details of that assessment? They did. Can you provide the details?
So you can see that this is going on. Check out Perkins.
I want to get into some very specific things. In your testimony, your opening, you said you worked on the financial analysis of proposals, grant proposals through all of the funds. And you had mentioned the Annette Fisherian Centre, which is in Nova Scotia, Annette Fisherian being the chair of this board. You said that Annette Fisherian and the Fisherian Centre applied for funds, I think it is, from the Ecosystem Fund. Is that correct? And that application, you were involved with some of your colleagues in analyzing it? Yeah. The Ecosystem Fund doesn't support directly green technology companies, does it?
No. STTC's mandate is to directly fund clean technologies versus what the Ecosystem Fund has been designated by the board is to fund indirectly companies or organizations that help clean technology companies.
And the Fisherian Centre in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, is not a clean tech company, is that correct?
No, it's not.
Okay. So what year did that application or process happen?
The application was initiated sometime in the summer of 2021. And what I want to point out as it relates to that application is the Ecosystem Fund is not a publicly available fund. SDTC needs, as part of their contribution agreement, you have to provide everyone the equal opportunity to apply to funding agreements and to apply to any of these funds. For the Ecosystem Fund, that never existed, so it was brought to us by the executives to say, we are now looking at the Fisherian Centre.
Did you have any concerns, or did any of the employees have any concerns that funding a center, an EGO project of the chair might be a conflict?
There were emails that were sent and by multiple employees.
Who were they sent to?
Executives at STTC.
Do you have copies of those?
I do.
Would you table those with the committee?
I do.
Thank you. And so when you went through the analysis, what was the state of the Annette Fisherian Centre at Cape Breton University at the time, financially?
It would likely go bankrupt if it didn't receive federal funding.
And how much was the chair seeking for her EGO project from the Green Slush Fund?
$2.2 million.
Wow, $2.2 million. And so when that process, was the chair ever inquiring as to the state of the process and how it was going?
Yes, she indirectly emailed the executives or other parts of the organization to check in on the progress of the application.
So she was directly involved in trying to push it forward with management?
Absolutely.
And what was the conclusion that the analysis from the team that went to the board said about whether or not it should be funded?
It was recommended for funding.
It was. Why was it recommended for funding?
Because that's how the organization works. The level of due diligence at SDTC is extremely high, but the ultimate authority on whether projects move forward to the project review committee is held by executives.
So the approving body ultimately is the board itself. Is that right?
The ultimate approving body, but before it goes to the board, it has to go to the project review committee. But before it goes to the project review committee, it has to be agreed upon by the executives.
Okay, so the project review committee reviewed this?
And rejected it based on the conflict of interest, but they still were in favor of it for its technical.
So when it was rejected, were there any commitments that were made to the board chair as to what employees would do after that rejection?
Yeah, they're all included in the board minutes of the project review committee meeting, where it was clearly stated that SDTC employees would help the Verscheren Center and move that application into other sources of funding.
So can you table those minutes with the committee?
Yes.
So let me get this straight. The project review committee, employees were told, after SDTC rejected Annette Verscherian's $2.2 million request to fund her own center, then employees were told that you had to go to work to help Annette Verscherian find that money somewhere else in the government?
Using SDTC's reputation. And just for everyone's reference, SDTC rejects applications all the time, and it references other organizations if they're not a fit. There's an unprecedented time here where employees were asked to go and use that SDTC reputation to go to other places.
And did they do that?
They did.
And
Sorry, Mr. Perkins.
Thanks for watching. Leave your comments down below, like, subscribe, and have a great day. IUI Cafe.